Hey, this is Jim Lee.
Hi, I'm Andy Diggle.
Hi, I'm Grant Morrison and this is Superman 101.
Superman is the last son of a dying planet sent to Earth by his father, raised as a human, but he has powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men.
But it's all about restraint and being humble and not being someone that uses the full extent and powers, the power that he has. And I think, to me, that's a very inspirational sort of figure, and I think in a way he makes people around him better, and in that sense he's the ultimate hero.
He's become a kind of way for me to talk about what's best about humans and what's great about us and what we have inside us that I think is worth pointing to and dragging out.
Everyone kind of relates to Batman because you can kind of aspire to be Batman, but when you think about wish fulfillment and power fantasies, I mean, you think of Superman. He can fly, he can see through walls, he can make things melt when he's angry with things.
When he first appeared, he was a kind of left-wing socialist fighter for justice on the streets of Metropolis. In the 40s, he was a patriot. In the 50s, he was like, he was like the men home from the war, trying to build a family.
He's constantly reinventing himself. Every generation has a slightly different version of Superman. He constantly evolves over the years and makes himself relevant to each new generation.
And it's the fact that Superman's been able to adapt to all of those different takes, I think, makes him one of the greatest pop culture characters we've come up with.
He's also very different from a lot of other characters in that his quote-unquote normal self is in fact part of his superhero self. There's as much Clark Kent in Superman as there is Superman in Clark Kent.
They both are fundamentally decent and they care about truth, justice in the American way.
He's not a big tough guy, he's the son of a scientist. If he'd stayed on Krypton, he would have remained a scientist and he'd have been working in a laboratory somewhere. He would never have been a wrestler or a fighter. So I feel as if there's a kind of poignancy in Clark, and you can't understand Superman without understanding how he feels inside.
Who is my favourite Superman villain? I think I'd have to say Lex Luthor.
My favourite Superman villain is Lex Luthor.
Favourite Superman villain? I guess I would always go for Lex Luthor because I totally identify with him for some reason. I don't know what, but...
I love the fact that he's the smartest guy on the planet.
He's a great man, he's a genius, this guy should be something more important than he is.
But it just really burns him that he can't be Superman, he can't be the top dog because that slot's already taken by Superman.
He's the most powerful man in Metropolis. He's achieved everything on his own, and here comes this alien who was born with these incredible powers, and it just drives him crazy, right?
I think what makes him an interesting villain is the fact that he's driven by ego rather than greed.
Luthor's the man. I love Luthor because he's the complete opposite, and he kind of represents all that's small and petty and mean about us, and I think because of that we can identify with him in a lot of ways.
What is the quintessential Superman story? I think I'd have to say Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely's All-Star Superman. In 12 issues, they basically redefined Superman for the present age, and everything you could ever want in a Superman story is right there.
The Christopher Reeve movies I particularly like, but in terms of comics, I grew up on the Silver Age stuff and the 70s stuff, so that kind of take on Superman is the one I like best because they're like fairy tales. They're less like superhero stories.
I think my favorite Superman story is Superman for All Seasons by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. I love the heart of the story, the quiet moments, the moments with his family. I just thought it was beautifully done, very lyrical.
Alan Moore did a couple of really good ones, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. There's some great cartoon versions of Superman, so there's a lot of it. For me it's the whole character. I think you need all of them, and I think that's what makes him great, is to just get all those books, Superman from the 30s to the 2000s, and you'll understand them.